Loretta Lynn remains an icon whose voice has carried the stories of coal mines, heartbreak, and unyielding hope into living rooms across America. But behind the sequins, the stages, and the applause lies a truth few ever saw: moments of fear, pain, and loss that tested the very core of her being. Born in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky, on April 14, 1932, she rose from a childhood of poverty to become the coal miner's daughter, a woman whose songs spoke for the voiceless and whose life mirrored the struggles she sang about. Yet fame and talent could not shield her from devastating news, a chapter that would challenge every fiber of her strength. Today, for the first time, the details of that life-altering revelation are finally laid bare, offering a glimpse of the woman behind the legend: a mother, a wife, a fighter whose courage still inspires generations. Loretta Lynn's story begins in the rugged hills of Butcher Hollow, Kentucky, a place where life was measured in coal dust and hard work, and dreams were as fragile as the morning frost. Born on April 9, 1932, she was the second of 8 children in a family whose days were defined by toil and survival. Her parents, Clara and Oliver, worked tirelessly to make ends meet, their hands roughened by labor, and their hearts heavy with responsibility. Even as a young girl, Loretta understood the weight of expectation, the unspoken rules of a world that demanded resilience before it offered comfort. Life was simple, yet unforgiving, and every day presented a new challenge that shaped her spirit and sharpened her determination. Music, however, was the one constant that brought warmth into the cold, hard days of her childhood. Her mother sang hymns while working, and her father played the guitar when he could find a moment. Those small melodies, woven into chores and quiet evenings, became the first notes of a lifelong symphony. Loretta found solace in the music, a way to rise above the relentless demands of rural poverty, and even at a young age, she felt a calling she could not ignore. Every song she heard, every note she learned by heart, seemed to whisper the promise of something greater beyond the holler, beyond the dirt roads and the coal dust. By her early teens, life was moving quickly, and sometimes harshly. In 1948, at just 13 years old, Loretta married Oliver Doolittle Lynn, a man older than she was, and a figure whose presence would become both a source of stability and tension. Together they would navigate the complexities of marriage and family, while trying to carve a life out of the rugged landscape around them. Before long, she became a mother, giving birth to 6 children over the following decade. Each child brought immense joy, yet also deep responsibility, and the demands of motherhood could have easily eclipsed her budding ambitions. Loretta, however, was not one to yield to circumstance. She juggled the relentless duties of family life with the quiet persistence of a young woman who understood that her dreams required courage, sacrifice, and unshakable commitment. Her early life was not just a story of hardship, it was also a testament to her enduring spirit and the early lessons that would define her character. She learned the value of hard work, the significance of loyalty, and the unspoken strength that comes from loving and protecting those around her. Even in the face of exhaustion, hunger, and uncertainty, Loretta's voice remained her anchor, her quiet rebellion against a life that demanded submission. Singing became more than a hobby, it was a lifeline, a way to claim space for herself in a world that often tried to confine her. She performed at local gatherings, small church events, and community dances, each appearance honing not only her talent, but her confidence and determination to rise beyond the limitations imposed by her environment. By the end of her teenage years, the foundation of a remarkable life had already been laid. Loretta Lynn had survived the trials of a harsh and unforgiving childhood, balanced the demands of an early marriage, and nurtured her growing family while nurturing the seeds of a musical legacy that would one day resonate far beyond the hills of Kentucky. These formative years, filled with both hardship and quiet triumph, set the stage for a journey defined by courage, authenticity, and an unwavering commitment to follow her voice wherever it might lead. In those hills, amidst coal dust and hymns, the coal miner's daughter began to emerge. Not yet a star, but already a woman whose life would touch millions with its honesty, warmth, and unyielding humanity. Loretta Lynn's journey to Nashville was anything but smooth. In the early 1960s, the city was a hub of country music, but it was also a world dominated by men, where women often struggled to have their voices heard beyond background harmonies or minor roles. For Loretta, arriving with her songs and her voice was both exhilarating and daunting. She brought with her the stories of coal dust, family hardships, and the quiet strength of a young woman who had survived poverty, early marriage, and motherhood. But translating that lived experience into a professional music career required persistence, resilience, and a willingness to face repeated rejection. Her earliest recordings were modest in production, but rich in authenticity. Honky Tonk Girl, recorded in 1960, captured the rawness of her experiences and the honesty of her perspective. Though it did not immediately top the charts, the single caught the attention of local radio stations and promoters, earning her opportunities to perform in small venues across the region. Each performance was a test of her endurance and talent, a chance to prove that her voice carried a weight and sincerity that demanded recognition. She learned quickly that in Nashville, talent alone was not enough. One had to navigate the politics of the industry, assert oneself with quiet determination, and never allow discouragement to take hold. By 1966, Loretta's dedication began to bear fruit with the release of Don't Come Home, a Drinkin'. The song was a revelation, both for its musicality and for its unapologetic honesty. It spoke to the realities of married life, the frustrations that many women experienced, but few dared to vocalize. In a music industry where male artists dominated the charts and women were often relegated to secondary roles, the song was bold, direct, and unprecedented. Its success signaled not only a personal triumph for Loretta, but also a shift in country music, opening the door for female artists to claim their own narratives and challenge the status quo. The single climbed the charts, becoming her first major hit and firmly establishing her as a force to be reckoned with. The following year, in 1967, she was recognized with her first CMA Female Vocalist of the Year award. The accolade was more than a symbol of professional achievement. It represented the culmination of years of perseverance, the sacrifices made to pursue a dream in an industry that was not always welcoming to women. For Loretta, the recognition validated her belief in the power of honesty, authenticity, and storytelling. Her voice carried not just melodies but the lives and struggles of countless women who had felt unseen and unheard. Breaking into a male-dominated industry required more than talent. It demanded courage and resilience. Loretta's songs often addressed themes that were considered controversial at the time, yet she remained steadfast, never allowing societal expectations to dilute the truth of her experiences. Her rise to prominence in the mid-1960s was both a personal victory and a broader cultural statement, showing that women could not only succeed in country music, but could do so on their own terms. Her early recordings and breakthrough hit laid the foundation for a career that would influence generations of artists, demonstrating that authenticity, persistence, and the willingness to tell one's own story could overcome even the most entrenched barriers. By the late 1960s, Loretta Lynn was no longer just a young woman from Butcher Hollow. She was a trailblazer whose voice resonated across America. The journey had been arduous, filled with rejection, long nights, and relentless work, yet each challenge only strengthened her resolve. Don't Come Home a Drinkin' was more than a song. It was a declaration, a testament to the power of speaking truthfully, and the moment when the coal miner's daughter truly began to claim her place in the world of country music. As Loretta Lynn's star continued to rise through the late 1960s and into the decades that followed, the world saw a woman whose strength seemed unshakable. Her songs climbed the charts, her influence expanded far beyond Nashville, and audiences were drawn to the honesty she carried in every note. But behind the curtain of fame, Loretta faced challenges that tested her spirit in ways the public rarely understood. The life of a performer often shines brightly under stage lights, yet away from them, she carried a weight that would shadow even her brightest achievements. The first devastating news arrived quietly at a time when Loretta was still performing with the same determination that had defined her earliest years. She was diagnosed with early-stage cancer, a moment that shook both her family and her sense of certainty. For someone who had spent her life pushing through hardship with resilience and grit, the diagnosis felt like an unexpected blow, a reminder that even the strongest hearts can be forced to confront their own fragility. Though the exact year belongs to the medical records and the privacy she deserved, what mattered most was the courage she showed in the face of fear. Loretta did not turn away from the world. Instead, she looked toward it, choosing to continue the work that had given her life purpose. The illness marked a turning point, not in her talent or her determination, but in the emotional terrain she had to navigate. Treatments required strength, both physical and emotional, and the reality of uncertainty hung over her like a lingering cloud. Still, Loretta met each day with the attitude she had carried since childhood. One foot in front of the other, one breath, one prayer, one song at a time. Her family rallied around her, offering comfort and companionship during the long, difficult months of recovery. For Loretta, their presence became a reminder that the love she had poured into her children and her loved ones over the years had been returned in full. Even as she battled illness, Loretta made the choice to keep performing. Music had always been her refuge, her anchor, the steady companion that carried her through life's harshest storms. Continuing to walk on stage, even while facing the uncertainty of her diagnosis, became a declaration of strength. Fans saw the same warm smile, the same steady voice, the same presence that had comforted them through their own struggles. Many never knew the extent of what she faced physically, and that was by design. Loretta wanted the music to carry them, just as it had always carried her. Yet cancer was not the only challenge that marked this chapter of her life. The demands of touring began to weigh more heavily, and the physical strain of performing long hours created moments of exhaustion that she rarely allowed others to see. There were times when stepping onto the stage required pushing through pain, moments when she hid her discomfort behind the grace and professionalism she had mastered over decades. In private, the fatigue lingered, a reminder that the body cannot always match the will of the heart. Still, she pressed on, motivated not by obligation but by love. Love for her craft, her audience, and the stories she still wanted to tell. Personal losses also left deep marks during these years. Friends from the industry passed on, loved ones faced their own hardships, and the quiet weight of grief settled into the edges of her life. Loretta carried those losses with the same tenderness she applied to her music, often finding solace in writing, reflecting, and leaning into the memories that shaped her. It was within these tender, vulnerable spaces that her songs gained new depth, resonating with listeners who recognized their own struggles mirrored back at them. Despite everything she endured, illness, fatigue, loss, Loretta Lynn never allowed hardship to define her. Instead, she became a symbol of endurance, a woman who faced devastating news with grace and resilience. Her continued performances, even in the face of serious health challenges, became a testament to her love for music and her unwavering connection to the people who found comfort in her voice. Through it all, she remained what she had always been, a fighter, a storyteller, and a beacon of strength for countless fans across the world. Loretta Lynn's legacy is woven into the very fabric of American music, a testament to the power of honesty, courage, and unwavering dedication. As her career grew across the decades, she became far more than a singer or a songwriter. She became a voice for women who had long felt silenced, a pioneer who reshaped the landscape of country music by speaking truths that others avoided. Her songs carried the realities of marriage, motherhood, hardship, and survival, offering comfort to those who recognized their own lives reflected in her lyrics. With every performance, she bridged the distance between artist and audience, creating a bond built on authenticity and trust. Her influence extended well beyond the reach of her chart-topping hits. Loretta's bravery in telling the truth opened doors for future generations of female artists, showing them that there was space in the genre for their stories too. At a time when women were expected to remain polite, quiet, and agreeable within the industry, she dared to be bold, candid, and unafraid. Her music addressed everyday struggles with a directness that was unheard of in the genre's traditional structure. In doing so, she changed expectations, proving that women's voices were not only important but essential to the evolution of country music. Many female artists who rose to fame after her have openly acknowledged the ground she broke, crediting her with giving them permission to speak their truths. Her accomplishments were recognized at the highest levels. In 1993, Loretta Lynn was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, an honor reserved for the most influential and enduring figures in the genre. The induction symbolized not only her talent, but also her cultural significance. It acknowledged the impact she had made on audiences, artists, and the industry as a whole. The halls of country music's greatest storytellers would now forever hold her name among them, a place earned through decades of dedication and a lifetime of honesty. Her achievements extended beyond individual awards. Loretta became the first female country artist to receive a solo album platinum certification, marking a milestone not only for her career but for women across the industry. The certification reflected the immense reach of her music, the devotion of her fans, and the cultural shift she had inspired. She proved that a woman's perspective could resonate on a massive scale, challenging outdated norms and opening pathways for future artists to surpass boundaries once considered unbreakable. Yet, beyond the accolades and historical achievements, it was Loretta's work ethic and humanity that left the deepest impression. She carried the values of her upbringing throughout her life: humility, loyalty, and the belief that hard work could change everything. Whether she was performing for thousands in a crowded arena or speaking quietly with fans after a show, she showed the same warmth and sincerity. Her resilience, tested repeatedly through personal hardship and health struggles, never dimmed her spirit. Instead, it deepened her connection to the people who followed her music, reminding them that she understood their pain because she had lived her own. Her legacy is not defined solely by awards, record sales, or industry recognition. It lives in every woman who picked up a guitar because Loretta proved that her voice mattered. It lives in every songwriter who learned that truth, even when uncomfortable, has the power to move hearts. And it lives in every listener who found comfort, courage, or companionship in her music. Loretta Lynn's story is one of endurance, compassion, and unshakable determination. Her influence continues to echo across generations, a reminder that a single honest voice can change the direction of an entire genre and touch countless lives along the way. In the end, Loretta Lynn's life stands as a testament to the kind of courage that is forged, not inherited. From the steep hills of Butcher Hollow to the brightest stages in America, she carried with her a truth that never wavered. Her childhood struggles became the backbone of her strength. Her early marriage shaped her resilience, and her rise through a male-dominated industry revealed a determination that few could match. Even the devastating news of illness could not silence her voice. Instead, it deepened her humanity, reminding the world that even legends face moments of fear, vulnerability, and pain. Her legacy lives in the artists she paved the way for, the listeners she comforted, and the countless people who saw their own reflections in her music. Loretta taught us that authenticity has power, that storytelling can heal, and that a single voice, steady, honest, and unafraid, can shift the direction of an entire genre. And as we look back at the journey she walked, we find not just the portrait of a star, but the story of a woman who loved deeply, worked tirelessly, and gave the world a piece of herself in every song she ever sang. For more emotional stories, check out this video.